This is Justice John Marshall Harlan, and he wrote the opinion for Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad Company versus Chicago. This was the very first of a long set of cases which started incorporating pieces of the Bill of Rights to the states via the 14th Amendment. This case has to do with the government takings clause and just compensation, and it was through this case it became incorporated, so thus applied to the states. We've got the city of Chicago, and they had an idea. They wanted to broaden a particular street called Rockwell Street. In order to do this, they started taking private property. Now, there was a lawsuit and a jury trial involved, and the private property owners were awarded compensation for their plots of land. But there was one particular company, the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad Company, that was only awarded $1 for their property being taken. They were pretty upset about this and appealed all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court it goes. And Justice John Marshall Harlan, writing for the majority court, said that under the Due Process Clause for the 14th Amendment, the Takings Clause and just compensation does apply to the states. And so Illinois had to comply with that piece of the Fifth Amendment. And by just allowing the railroad company to be heard did not satisfy the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. So, although this is an interesting government takings case, it really set the first piece to the U.S. Supreme Court starting to apply each or almost all of the pieces of the Bill of Rights to the states through the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. Now, you may note that John Marshall Harlan, Justice Harlan, was the sole dissenter in the Plessy versus Ferguson case. So we will see him again several times setting out that the Bill of Rights needs to apply, most parts of it need to apply to the states in order to fulfill that due process clause of the 14th Amendment. So Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad Company won their case, and they were awarded proper compensation for the taking of their property.